Hey y'all, I'm James Wright. Welcome to my shop. Today we are making a marking gauge, and of course we're going to need a marking gauge to make the marking gauge. So let's dive in. This is a salvaged piece of white oak. It's actually English oak. It comes from Southbridge, UK, and I was given this about 2 years ago from Gary Wall. And it's been sitting here and I've been had a really good thing to make with it. But finally I thought, I've got the project. Tay Tools has this kit for a marking gauge, and it's one of the wheel style, and I've been wanting to try and make one of these, and I thought, a good chance to use this. So 500-year-old English oak and a modern marking gauge kit. Let's have some fun. In the kit we have a main beam, we have the screw that locks into the beam. It comes with 2 threads, so there's a backup one if you mess one up. Then it's got the screw that holds the cutting knife in place, and then 2 replacement cutting knives. So it's actually a pretty well set up kit. So I need to figure out how far in I want to drill this and how big this block is going to be. We're going to cut a little chunk out of this. You do need a marking gauge to make a marking gauge. That's just a prerequisite. If you're making a tool, you need that tool to make it. So let's make it about that long. Perfect line. Well, that is slightly more accurate. Good old growth English oak is a lot of fun to work with. It's very, very similar to American white oaks, and they're just really dense and hard, especially when you get the old growth where the rings get really close together. You can smooth this out and it can get absolutely glass smooth and absolutely beautiful. I'm going to be cutting this about 2.5 inches by about 2.5 inches by about 1 inch, and give or take a 1/2 inch in any of those dimensions, and you'll be perfectly fine. And this stuff is a lot of fun. I was having a bit of issue starting the saw on this because I actually cut it with a smaller kerf to begin with, and then put this fatter saw in there, and it was binding up on the kerf. I was going to do it with my tenon saw, but it was just taking way too long with this hard wood, so I brought in my hand saw, and that makes really quick work of it. So we cut it down to the rough size and then start smoothing it out. And one of the things about this is if your plane is good and sharp, you get this really gorgeously smooth surface that is just absolutely beautiful, and the grain really starts to pop out on it. You start seeing the medullary rays, and it's beautiful. We need to find the middle of it, and to do that, of course, it's easy to do with a marking gauge. You mark in from one side, then mark in from the other side, then split the difference between those 2 lines, and you got the middle. Then we're going to bore from one side and then bore from the other side so we get a nice clean hole. I believe this was a 3/8 hole, whatever the diameter of it. And you want it to be rather tight like this. You want it to be a little bit stiff to slide down. You don't want it to slide down by itself. You want it to hold its own in there. So now we can put in the set screw that will go in and lock it in place. But for that, we're going to put in a threaded insert, and we need to find out where those threads fit. So we need to find out what the inside diameter is at. So use a caliper to reach inside the threads on the insert and measure what the size there is. And that's the hole we need to drill. But whenever doing that, make sure you drive in a test sample. And so we do a test hole and make sure we can bore it in and out. And yes, this will work. That's the size I want. So we take it out of there, and then we need to find out exactly where the middle of the side is. So I can use that same marking gauge with that middle line and come in from the 2 sides and find out, yeah, that's where I need to go. I'm going to use the ring trick to make sure that the bit is level, and it will drill in. Now, I only need this to go in deep enough for the insert. And then I'm going to stop and back it out. I'm going to put in a smaller 1/4 inch, which is the size that the stud is, and that's going to go all the way through and poke into the middle. And you can see where that will then go in, because we don't need it to be full width all the way into the middle. So for this, I'm going to put a bolt and a nut, and then use that to drive it down in. Don't try and use a flat blade screwdriver. That slot on the other side is actually the leading edge that should go in. So don't try and drive it in with a standard screwdriver. Use a bolt and nut. It goes much, much easier. Once that's in place, it's basically done. That's all we need to it. It is a functioning marking gauge. I can just put the knife on the end and we're good to go. But no one likes holding a big square block like that. It's not as comfortable, it's not as useful, and we want to make it a little more pretty. So before we go any farther, we are going to really detail this up and smooth it down. Of course, this is wood by Wright, so we're adding chamfers. We're going to be lopping off all the corners and turning it into an octagon. And I start by using the saw to cut down and then come back in with a plane and get it really, really close. Now, if I wanted to, I can bring in a file and really make that surface shine. You can get it absolutely glass smooth with something like that. A plane will do really well as long as it is good and sharp. If it gets dull, you'll see any little nick or mark in the plane blade will leave a track in that. Then I can bring in the small block plane and chamfer all the corners. And so that's 16 edges to do, which is nice just to put it in the vise and slowly go to town. But I like the way it comes out. It really is a rather nice little shape. It feels good in the hand. It's just got the right amount of edges that you can feel it. And of course I left the markings on there so I remember where it came from and just a little bit of the history of the tool itself. And I thought that would be kind of fun to show the barn that this came out of. And then we can put together the tool and take it for a test drive. You can put the tip in there, and I was kind of sad to see it was a Phillips screwdriver, so you might want to replace it with an Allen sometime in the future, but those work phenomenally well, and it goes in, and you have a marking gauge. But wait, we want to put some finish on this because it's oak, and oak really gets pretty when it gets in there. Unfortunately, my jar, over the years of using it, has built up a crud on the inside lip, so I had to take a knife and cut that out so that I could fit this in and submerge it. I'm using my homemade boiled linseed oil and just letting that soak up and let the oak take up as much as it wants. Put on a couple soakings of that until it's not taking up anymore. And then we'll wipe off all the excess. And then with the excess off, we can put on our paste wax. And this just really, really shines. It comes out, yeah, the oak, I don't care which side of the pond you're on, the oak is phenomenal, and it is a very, very beautiful piece that I'm looking forward to using for years to come, thinking about the barn that this used to be in and the experience it used to have. So now that we have a marking gauge, we can come in and actually make a marking gauge. So let's start this video over, right? Isn't that how we started? But yeah, marking gauge, really, really simple. About $15 right now, and a couple hours of time, and there you got it. Just a block with a couple holes and a lot of fun. Good memories for the future. There you go. This is a really, really simple project. It's a single block of wood with 2 holes drilled in it. You really can't get much more than that. And it's a fun time for you have those little scraps left over. You don't know what to do with it. It's a really nice, valuable wood. You can make a marking gauge out of it. And the kit is dirt cheap. I'll leave a link to it down below, but it's amazing how cheap Tay Tools has gotten it. So if you need a marking gauge, that's one of the most cost-effective ways to do it, and it's far cheaper than you can get one of these ones. So yeah, this was a lot of fun, really easy, really simple, and a great tool that I'm looking forward to using quite a bit. So I hope you like this. If you do have any other thoughts, something I should do differently, a snide remark, other comments, let me know those down below. Those help out the channel, as well as hitting like, share, subscribe, all of those things, and let other people see what we're doing. So thank you for that. If you'd like to take it one step farther, you can also go to patreon.com or click the little join button and become a member. Everyone's scrolling over here on the side. They are patrons on Patreon. And without patrons and members helping support this channel, we wouldn't exist. So thank you. It is the support of patrons and members and viewers like you who keep us going. And without that, well, these lights wouldn't be on and we wouldn't be making videos. So thank you. If you'd like to find out more, there's links to all that down below, or you can click the little join button and become a member here on YouTube. And I think that'll do it for now. Until next time, have a wonderful day. I now have a marking gauge to go with my 10 gauge and my 12 gauge shotgun.